So on this episode of 90 Day Fiance, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I struggled through it a little bit. It wasn't what I expected it to be, but I learned some stuff. And so we're gonna start with Nicole. I think every time we do this, I'm gonna probably just start with Nicole because Nicole is the one outside of David. Nicole is the one that she just gets under my skin a little bit because she refuses. She absolutely positively refuses to try to listen to the people around her and just catch a clue. Now, Azin was denied. We found out in the last episode that Azin was denied for his K1 visa. So there's a K3 visa, and the K3 visa is a spousal visa. Now, basically, with the spousal visa, from what I understood, because I had to research it because I can't trust Nicole, okay? So I had to research it, and she wasn't wrong. Cool for Nicole. So basically, what it is you have to go to the other person's country, Morocco, wherever, and you have to have the ceremony there in that culture, in that country. And then you could go back after getting married. You could go back to the United States and stay, being married separately until the visa is approved and comes through. Or you could stay there in their country until the visa is approved and comes through. It takes between 6 months to a year. So Nicole has decided if her and Azin are going to get married, they're going to go ahead and stay over in Morocco, and she's taking May with her. So that is what we found out. Now on this episode, it wasn't a lot being said. Of course, we don't ever really hear from Azin as much as we hear from everyone else because Azin, I think, purposely tries to stay away from it all. Like, I don't think Azin wants any parts to any of this. Not the way Nicole does. Like, I think he's even really on the show because of her. Like, I don't think he really wanted to do this. He probably preferred for this to stay a little bit more private, which is a red flag for me because if you love this person, why does it need to be so private or so tucked away? But it could be a religion thing and not a scam artist type thing. So we start off the episode with Nicole going to lunch with her mother and her stepdad in May. Now they get their food, they sit down, and her stepfather, gotta love him, he's like, so I hear that there's a wedding coming up. And she's like, yep, soon. And he's like, how soon? And she's like, we only have a few more weeks. And I don't know how the time works, but it does seem, even just watching it on TV and knowing that this is pre-recorded, it still seems really, really soon. And so her mother makes these comments like, she just feels like Nicole is rushing. She tells it to the cameras in her interview, and she says it to Nicole, like, what's the rush? Why not wait to find out why he was not approved for his visa? And, like, what's the big deal? Like, what are you doing? And she's like, it's been 2 years. I'm tired of waiting. Nicole says the same crap all the time. And so her stepfather is like, well, this dude can't even keep a job, and now you're going to take May and move to Morocco and live for a year. He can't even keep a job. And she's like, well, it's hard to get a job there. And when she said that, all I could think about is the fact that she openly admitted that she asked him not to work so that they can talk on the phone all day long. And for him to be a man, he accepts that. And I have a little bit of an issue with that. And so, I'm like, I don't think it's hard for him to get a job. I just think that you've made a decision for the two of you that he doesn't need to work. And when he does work, she goes out of her way to get him fired because she's constantly calling and texting and trying to FaceTime him. So, okay. And so her stepdad's like, well, how much money did you send this guy? And she's like, I think that's none of your business because it's between me and him. And he like zaps out on her. He's like, no, it's definitely my business. Da-da-da-da. You're stupid. You sent him thousands of dollars, which she's admitted to. But she says things like, I don't think whatever financially happens between him and I is anyone else's business. That's just between me and him. And her stepfather is just not happy with the situation. And they ask her questions all the time. And she never really has an answer for it. And that's what concerns them. And it concerns me, girl, because what are you doing? Like, you're going to take your baby to Morocco? And I know that's your kid, but come on. Like, it's probably a horrible idea for you. So it's a really bad idea for baby May. Whatever. So that lunch happens. And then the next time we catch up with Nicole and her mother, they're out wedding dress shopping. And she springs on her mother while they're in the wedding dress shop talking to the consultant. Well, the consultant says, well, how much is your budget? And she looks at her mother and she's like, how much is my budget? And her mother's like, "Oh, I'm paying for the dress. That's on me. That's my thing." And she's like, "You just kind of threw me off. You threw me on." She's like, "Yo, yeah, the family's paying. Like his family's going to pay for the wedding. You know, you can pay for my wedding dress." And so the mother was so flabbergasted by the situation. She's like, and Nicole was like, $2,000. That's where we're going to be. And I'm just like, whoa, she's manipulative as fuck. Like, Jesus. And Nicole has been digging underneath of my skin. Like, she's so manipulative. And her mom's like, she threw me off when she said I had to purchase the dress. But mom comes through again. And I'm like, yeah, you're a damn enabler. Like, why would you even get this dress for her? She's the one who wants to go to Morocco, right? She's the one that wants to get married. She's the one that's refusing. Like, everything that you guys say to her, she refuses it. But she'll take your money. I wouldn't give Nicole jack. I wouldn't purchase jack. Nicole would be dressless. She'd be in Morocco rocking that Moroccan fashion for that wedding, because I wouldn't buy Nicole anything. If Nicole didn't have $2,000 to get a dress, Nicole wouldn't get a dress. Period. Point blank. The end. So while Nicole is trying on these dresses, her mother brings up an amazing point. What is appropriate for their culture in their country? Do you need to be more covered up, more conservative? Like, Nicole comes out titties all out in every single dress that she had on, the two that we got to see. I'm pretty sure there was more, but the two that we saw, titties all out, boobs all out, Muslim ceremony, okay? And her mother's like, is that appropriate? Can we do something to like cover it up? And Nicole starts to get pissed off. She's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, but it does matter. And I said this in a video way back when with Nicole and Azin. It does matter. It does matter, Nicole. You have to have respect for other people's cultures and other people's belief systems. And now you're going over to someone else's country to get married. It definitely matters. There's going to be probably hundreds of people in his family there, a couple of people from your family who may not find what you have on offensive or over, like, you know, too sexual, but their family is definitely going to feel that way, possibly. And I know that they dress in Western culture over there, and I'm not mad at that. Somebody told me that in that same video. They dress in Western culture over there, yeah, but they're still conservative. They're not boobs all out and just wah. And I think that's what she's not understanding. Nicole is so disrespectful to everybody, even as in the idea. She didn't even ask him what would be appropriate. Hey, I'm going to get my dress. Should I be more covered? She just decided that this is what she wanted to do the way she wants to do it, like she does everything else. Her mother makes a comment like, so when we put the corset in, so that she picks the dress was really pretty for like our ceremonies. And she picks out the dress, and her mother's like, are we going to put a corset in that dress? And we're going to have to alter it a little bit so that we got some more room up there so that it's a little bit more covered. And Nicole's like, stop that. And she's like, Nicole, I love the dress. It's a beautiful dress. That's what I want to hear. And I would have Nicole in the face if I was her mother. Who are you talking to? You brought me into this dress shop. You fucking ambushed me telling me that I have to pay for your dress, and now you're going to be disrespectful. That's how it goes off with her mother purchasing a wedding dress for Nicole. I would have bought Nicole nothing, is what I would have bought Nicole. She'd have had to figure it out. Her and Azin, since they got it all together, they'd have had to figure that out on their own. Anyway, so let's move on to David and Annie. So it wasn't really a lot with David and Annie, so this one's going to be a little bit more condensed. So David finally goes out to dinner with Ashley. And while out to dinner with Ashley, they decide that they want to try to hatch things out and just have a conversation that they haven't had. David had been back for 6 months, and they've only seen each other twice in the 6 months. And both times was really, really bad. And since Jacob got shot in the face, they decided that, you know, family is the most important here. Whatever else is going on doesn't matter. So it starts off okay with that conversation. And then somehow, when Ashley says, we've only seen you twice, you don't see the grandkids, David makes a comment like, after the wedding, we knew that you were trying to break us up. And Ashley's like, I wasn't trying to break you guys up. And he's like, yeah, Ashley, you were. You were trying to break us up with the things that you were saying. It flashes back to when Ashley was telling Annie about how, if you guys trying to figure out why I rubbed my hand, I don't know what I did to it, but it's been, these two fingers have been numb and tingling. So that's why you see me just like trying to massage the pain. It flashes back to when Ashley was saying the things about David and what happened in the relationship with her mom. And that's a lot of hurt and anger in Ashley because of what David did to the family. Not just her mother, the family was affected by his bad behaviors. And so he felt like when Ashley said all of that, she was trying to get Annie to leave, when in reality it was more like a warning. Now, I don't think she should have did it that way, but it came out that way. And if it's the truth, David, it's the truth. If Annie's going to stay and deal, she's going to stay and deal regardless. It's not a lot a person can do or say. If somebody breaks up with you because of what someone else has said, they've already had in their mind that they were going to leave. So I didn't really like the fact that he was trying to blame Ashley for that. It's like, I could try my best to get somebody to leave, but they're not going to unless they want to. Just saying, David, throwing it out there, if you ever see this video, if Annie leaves, it's because of you and you alone, and because she didn't really want to be here. Just saying. So they're having that conversation. She's like, but you guys are never around. Ashley makes that comment, and David's like, yeah, because you guys are always yakking, and it pisses Ashley off immediately. She's like, that's what she said. She says we're always yakking, and she starts to get hot. And David's like, you need to calm down, Ashley. You need to calm down. And she's like, why? Why do I need to calm down? Because you're a dick and you don't ever care about nobody else's feelings, and you just don't care. That you never let a person get a word in edgewise. And every time we try to tell you how we feel, whether it's about the old stuff or the new stuff, you seem to want to shut us up and act like it's not happening and it's not right. And David doesn't say anything. And she's like, listen, this is not the time for this. With everything going on with Jacob, I just want you to come around. I just want you to be around the grandkids. Like, they kind of like pulled Annie out of the conversation and just homed in on what the issue was. And I was happy that they figured that out. So it didn't go perfectly, but it didn't go as bad. The meeting between Ashley and her dad, it didn't go as bad as I thought it was going to go, because the way they cut it up in the trailer, you think that she's going to like throw another drink on him or something. But she didn't. They decided that they definitely need to see more of each other. He needs to see more of the grandkids. He needs to call more. He needs to be around more. And David agrees to do such a thing. And he makes a comment that he wants to make everybody happy. He wants to get back into a place with Ashley where they can be happy together. And he wants to make sure that Annie's happy. And for him to do that, he needs to get a job and start figuring things out. That is where we leave David and Annie in this one. Because then we roll into Chantel and Pedro. Now, we are still at the vacation house somewhere in Georgia at the winery, and the parents have decided that they want to talk to Pedro about what he said the night before at the winery about leaving Chantel. They call her Chantal. Well, he calls her Chantal. Her name's Chantel, but whatever. So they sit down with Pedro and Chantel, and they're like, Pedro, we just want to talk to you. We think that your mother is running an operation. Hold on, you guys, because I think what's going on here is you can see So, they want to talk about it. And so Pedro tries to explain that he's not leaving her. He's just going to go back to the DR so that they can start a business. Now, all of a sudden, Chantel's a part of this. So they can start a business. And he was only going to be leaving for a couple of weeks. And the mother's like, that's not what you said. You said a couple of months the other day. He was like, no, just a couple of weeks, couple of days. Excuse me. And so her father and her mother are asking questions like, when we were in the DR, we seen your mother's website. Now, we know your mother's a lawyer, but maybe she has some other stuff going on. And so Pedro's like, what? And she's like, we seen your mother's website, and she's basically running a marriage ring, or at least that's what it looks like. And Pedro gets defensive that quick. And he's like, my mother's running out. Do you speak Spanish? Do you read Spanish well? She's like, and Chantel's mother's like, no. And he's like, right. So then you don't know what my mother's doing. My mother is there. And then he explains that his mother is an immigration lawyer. And nobody knew that this whole time. Like, they've been together for almost 2 years. And no one knew what his mother did. No one knew she was an immigration lawyer. We knew she was a lawyer. We didn't know she was an immigration lawyer. And that is a humongous red flag, because now your mother could be running a marriage ring. She could be taking care of all the paperwork. Chantel didn't even know that his mother was an immigration lawyer. Now, Chantel reassures us that she had nothing to do with their paperwork. But I don't know if I believe her. You know, Chantel lies. We know that from when we first meet them. She lies the entire time that Pedro, like the whole 90 days that Pedro's there, she lies the entire time. And has Pedro lie. And I think that's what pisses me off even more about the situation, is that Pedro lied to help keep her secret, and no one is aiming at Chantel at all. It's almost like she gets a pass for possibly being dumb and being in love with this guy. And so because of that, they feel like Pedro should have did the right thing. And I don't like that part of it. That is the only part of it that I dislike, is that they don't ever hold her responsible for what she did in this situation. But everything else, I've started slowly but surely siding with the family. Pedro is very, very secretive. He sends back quite a bit of money back home. I mean, every month he's sending $600 to $1,000 back home, and that's a lot of money. Then when you look at the old episodes, they had like a 3 bedroom, like almost like they're setting up for him to come home. And now all of a sudden he's saying that he's going to go home. And so they have this conversation, and in the midst of this conversation, he stays secretive. He shuts down. He starts telling them that they don't have to explain anything. And the father, Thomas, Chantel's father's like, dude, we're family. You got to talk to us. You can't keep these secrets from us. Like, we have to know, like, are you guys okay? And so the mother's like, well, since you want to be secretive, we're going to hire a private investigator. And Pedro at first thinks that it's a joke. Like, what? You gonna hire a private to investigate my family? And they're like, yeah, you won't tell us anything. So we're gonna go over to the DR and we're gonna go and see what it is that you have going on over there in your family, Pedro. Like, we're gonna hire somebody. Pedro thinks that it's a joke, and Chantel's like, listen, my mother and father are not joking, Pedro. They're not playing. They're really going to hire an investigator. Like, you're being secretive. He gets up, he gets mad, he walks off. That is Pedro's signature move. When he doesn't know what else to do and he's caught in a lie, like a bad one, he gets up, he walks out, and he doesn't want to talk to anybody. And so the next scene that we see with them, they're at dinner. And, well, no, it's not. Like, he's calling his sister, and he explains to his sister that they're hiring a private investigator. And she's like, what? Why? And he's like, they think mom's running a marriage ring, and they think that we're trying to extort, the American dollar. And the sister's like, they're just evil. They're evil. And I'm just like, they're not evil, girl. That's what it looked like. What you talking about? They're not evil. If Pedro comes here, he gets a really good job. Chantel's a really good job, and Chantel's going to school. Chantel needs help. Chantel needs books. Her husband's not helping her. He's sending money back home to you guys. It looks bad on everybody's part. And for you to think that they're wrong, I don't think they're wrong. I mean, I probably wouldn't have told them that I was hiring a private investigator. I want them to move along life regularly over in the DR, and I want him to move around in life regularly. I would not have warned him or Chantel that I was hiring a private investigator, and I'd have just ate whatever backlash would have came my way. I mean, I probably would have told Chantel, but I probably wouldn't have told Pedro. I probably wouldn't have. I told my kid, but I wouldn't have told him, because I want them to move around regularly. Because what he did was he called his sister and warned them that the private investigators were coming. And the way he made the conversation seem is like he was just venting, but real talk, he was warning his sister and his mother, because as soon as she got off the phone, she ran and told the mom that they needed to kind of like probably cool down, because there's a private investigator that's going to be coming out. So I wouldn't have told Pedro nothing. I'd have had to see for myself. And if nothing would have came up, fine. But I wouldn't have told him anything. Whatever. That's the mistake I think the parents made. They told Pedro, and I wouldn't have told Pedro crap. So in the next scene with them, we are finally at dinner, and we're sitting down, and Chantel's brother, River, River is like, so what's the topic of the conversation tonight? What we talking about? And, Chantel's like, listen, I just don't want no beef. I don't want no problems. I just want us to have a nice dinner. So they sit down. It looked like they had Cornish hen and some Mexican rice or Caribbean rice. I don't know. So Chantel explains that she made like some beans and rice from Pedro's country. She learned how to make it. And so she wanted everybody to just like, be together. And as soon as like they sit down, River's like, so I'm under the impression that you plan on leaving Chantel and going back to the DR. And Pedro gets defensive, just like that. And he's like, what's your problem with me? Why every time we together you bother me, talking to River? And River's like, I'm not bothering you. I'm just asking questions. Am I not allowed to ask questions? I'm just wondering what's going on. So Chantel naturally jumps in to defend and goes, no, he's not leaving me. He's trying to go start a business. And River says what I said. Why can't he start a business here? And Chantel's like, and she's like trying to explain it all. But it's like, you really can't, because that's a question that you can't answer. I mean, you could be like, it's cheaper in the DR to do it, and it's cheaper in the DR to do it, but you're in America right now, so you could still do it here so that you don't have to worry about leaving your wife for days and weeks at a time. And so River's in his interview, and he's like, I knew it was going to come. I told her, like, they were going to be married for 2 years, and then once the 2 years was up, he was going to go back to the DR, and he was like, here we are, coming up on the 2-year anniversary, and he's talking about going back to the DR. I called it. And so it's like the more and more River and Chantel's sister, I didn't even know she had a sister until recent. The more and more we talk about it, the more and more like he gets defensive, and he's like, you asking too many questions, you need to like mind your business, don't explain yourself to River, Chantel, and whatever. And so the mother says, listen, you're being really secretive, and I'm going to say this is one, it's okay, like Chantel's mother's like, it's okay to marry somebody from another country. That isn't the problem that we have. The problem that we have is if you marry somebody from another country that's using you for money and using you in general. That's the problem that we have. And Pedro's like, whatever, and he gets up and he walks away, and everybody's like, Pedro, you have to talk to us, you can't just keep walking away. He's like, nope, and he walks off. He just leaves them there. And that's where we're left stuck not knowing what the hell's going on. And Chantel's at the dinner table with her family, like, we can't even have one dinner without us getting into a fight. And it's like, it wouldn't be a fight if Pedro wasn't hiding things. If you don't have anything to hide, if what you're doing is a legit situation and you have no reason to be hiding anything, then Pedro could have a conversation like a normal person, and Pedro could just explain what's going on, but he chooses not to, and he's secretive and he's hiding. And that's what I think Chantel doesn't understand. The family's getting irritated because they're asking simple questions that should have simple answers, and he doesn't answer anything. He runs, and that's the problem in the situation. And that's where we leave Chantel and Pedro, with Pedro walking away just like he did and everything else so far in this. Pedro refuses to talk, so whatevers. So we're going to do Louise and Molly. Now, Molly sent her mom over to the house to help Louise with Kinsley. And so she was under the impression that she was there to help, not be sole caregiver of Kinsley. And of course, she became sole caregiver of Kinsley. She did everything the entire weekend. And so Louise stayed locked up in his room. I mean, probably came down to eat, did whatever he did, and then went back upstairs into the room. And Grandma is not with it. So it has snowed in Georgia in this episode, and it's a little cold outside. So she decides that she wants to get Louise to go outside and play with her and Kinsley in the snow, since he's never seen the snow before. And so she calls Louise to come down, and she gives him a fur coat. He's like, what is this? And they go outside and they play in the snow, and you think that they're having a moment, and Louise was like, it was cold, so I didn't like, no. So Kinsley eats a bowl of cereal. She has her snack. She goes upstairs, and Mama is like ready. She's like, how are you doing, Louise? How's it been since you've been back? And he's like, it's been hard. Kinsley, Olivia, it's been hard, and da-da-da-da. He basically says the same crap. Like, he doesn't want to be a stepfather. He just feels like Kinsley is wild and disrespectful, and Molly lets Kinsley do whatever she wants, and on some level she does. And so he just didn't want to parent like that. He doesn't want to parent a kid that's disrespectful and wild and free. And so Grandma like, listen, I'm going to tell you something. That Olivia thing, she grown. She 18. The best that you can do with Olivia is be her friend. That's the best. That's the best that we can get out of this, is you being Olivia's friend. But Kinsley is 7 or 6. I'm not sure. She's 7 or 6. And she's young enough for you to fit in. She's young enough for you to play a father role. And you have to step up. You have to try harder. You have to, because you guys are partners. You guys have to be in this together. And so Louise just nods like he cares, but he don't. So in the next scene, hold on guys, sorry, damn it. Sorry guys. So in the next scene, we are with Mama and Kinsley, and she's on FaceTime with Molly while Molly's in Tennessee for an event. And while they're talking, she's like, well, how are you guys? And Mom's like, oh, everybody's good. Kinsley's good. We're good. And she's like, well, where's Louise? Is he with you guys? And Mama was like, do you really want to get into that right now? And Molly's like, oh, Lord. And, Molly knew when Mama was like, you really want to do that right now? And so, they don't really have that conversation because Kinsley's right there and she's still at an event, and you don't want that kind of like in your head. So Molly thanks her mother for being there. And so right after that scene, Molly's coming home, and Molly expresses to us that she talked to her mother. My hand is red. She talked to her mother on her way in from Tennessee, and her mother told her that Louise was not there. Actively present with anything with Kinsley. She did everything for Kinsley, and the conversations that happened that we probably didn't get to see. And Molly walked in hot. She went straight upstairs to Kinsley's room. She spoke to Kinsley, gave Kinsley a hug and a kiss, and then she went right on downstairs to Louise, and she's like, listen, I think you're not happy. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I didn't like the fact that when I was leaving, you called yourself a babysitter. You're not a babysitter. You're a partner. You're here. Like, you're a part of this family. You're her parent. Like, yeah, you're her stepdad, but you're still like a dad. And I need you to act like it. He's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And he gets like defensive. I think that's a DR thing. Like, they get defensive quickly. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And whatever. And he makes a comment like, when I married Molly, I thought it was going to be hard, but not this hard. I missed the clubs, the beaches, and the food, and this, and this. And then I remember that he's like not even 30, and this is a lot. And he could just leave instead of, staying. I get that you love her, but you guys might not be right together. So Molly basically says what I just said. She's like, listen, I know you're not happy. I didn't appreciate your joke about babysitting Kinsley. You're not a babysitter. You're her parent. He's like, well, I like when your mom's here. She should always come. And she's like, no, that's not an option. It never should be an option. If I wanted a babysitter, I would hire somebody to babysit her if I wanted that. But I shouldn't have to do that. And my mother shouldn't have to be an option because you're here. What are you doing? And he is just not feeling it. And like, she's like, you're not excited to see me. He's like, I tried to hug you, I tried to kiss you, but you sad, you mad, you angry. You're in a place that you were in when you kicked me out. So are you going to kick me out your house again? She hunches her shoulders, she gets up, and as she's making her way upstairs, she's like, you're supposed to be my partner, you're supposed to be my confidant, you're supposed to be my friend, and I can tell that you're not happy, and I think that I made a mistake, and I can see that you're not going to change, and I'm done talking about this. And she goes up the steps, and she leaves Louise downstairs by herself to think about whatever it is that she just said to him. But Louise doesn't give a shit. He could care less. He's preparing, like, mentally. He's already keeps saying that he's going to leave. So I think he's preparing himself for Molly to kick him out again. And this time he's going to have to go back to the DR, because if she kicks him out for real, she's going to sign, like, they're basically forfeiting anything he got going on. He doesn't have a green card yet. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I hate to see them argue like this. So, we're with Pal and Pal. I'm going to call her Pal. Pal and Russ. And we're still in Colombia. And we come in with Pal on a lunch date with her friend. Or it's a drink date. Like a little happy hour. With her friend Juan. And Juan tickles me, but he annoys me all at the same time. Like, he's funny as hell, but like, if he was my friend, he would be probably pissing me off. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. So Juan and Pay they're at, like I said, like a little happy hour. They're talking, and she starts expressing to him that she really wants him to start trying to get along with Russ. And he's not having it. He's like, I can't forgive him for you being unhappy and sad and things like that. And so that's what I mean when I say to people, you have to be careful when you tell your friends things, because you may forgive your partner, but your friends and family won't forgive your partner. You got to be careful. And so Pal's like, listen, I'm thinking about having a baby with Russ. We're planning to have a baby with Russ. She just had the miscarriage. I don't think she told him that part. But we're thinking about having a kid, and he gets dramatic. Girl, got you clutching your pearls a little bit. He's like, Cat? What? Like, why? Why do you want to have a baby with Russ? And he's so disrespectful, and that's where the funny stops. You know what I mean? Like, that's her husband. What do you mean? She's like, he's not the one for you. You're a zombie. You want the American dream, Pal? The American dream. That's how I feel about your American dream, Pal. And I'm just like, damn, you're her best friend, and that's where you at with it, huh? Like, oh, all right then. And he just continues to get more disrespectful. And she makes a comment that she doesn't want to have to choose between her friend and her husband, and she shouldn't have to. But in this situation, unfortunately, you might have to, because Juan is being a jerk. So they get back to the hotel, her by herself with Russ, and she tries to talk Russ into going out, and Russ is like, absolutely not. Now, this is after Juan said he's going to try to play nice. And she's like begging him, like, listen, I don't want you sitting in the hotel by yourself. Like, please come out with us. It's memories. You remember the restaurant we first met and we hung out all the time for the first year? He's like, yeah. And she's like, come on, go with me. He decides against better judgment. He tells her, he's like, listen, I do not want it to be another situation like it was in Miami. I don't want that. I'm going to go. I'm going to be the bigger person. And she's like, yeah, you're the bigger person. Juan's childish. And he tells us that he feels like Powell turns into a mean girl when she gets with Juan. And he doesn't like that side of her. And so, reluctantly, he decides to go out with her. And Russ fucks it all up. As soon as he gets there, he's like, I'm going to put him in his place. And I'm like, God damn it, Russ. No, you don't need to put him in his place. Like, shake hands, sit down, shut up, play nice. That's all we need from you guys. But no. Russ walks into this restaurant. He sees Juan. He's like, hey, Juan. He pulls him in close, like, don't ruin the night. We here for pow. And Ron's like, see? and it's like, that starts it off wrong because you come off so goddamn aggressively, Russ. And I just wish he wouldn't have done that. And so Juan's sitting there, and when Powell's looking at Russ to talk, he does this right here, you know? And he's like, he just flipped me off. And I'm like, God damn it, you're a snitch too? Like, you started it, Russ. Like, you didn't have to say that. You didn't have to go there. Like, you could have just sat down. And immediately it busts into this thing. And she's like, why would you start? Like, you know, talking to Juan, like, Juan, why would you do that? And he's like, he start what he say to me. And she's like, what did you say to Russ? And Russ like, I mean, you know, talking to Russ, like, what did you say to him? And Russ is like, I told him not to ruin the night because we're here for you. And she's like, you shouldn't have started it like that. You should not have started it like that. Now we got to deal with this. So she's like going back and forth, and they're saying little slick ass comments. And she decides that she has to go to the bathroom. And he's like, you're going to the bathroom by yourself? And she was like, no, Juan can walk me. He's like, Juan, you want Juan to walk you? And she's like, yeah. He was like, I mean, I'm just saying, usually it's girls. And she was like, he is a girl, so he's going to walk me to the restroom. And when they get over to the restroom, Juan and her get into it a little bit, and she's like, why can't you just play nice? Why can't you just control yourself? He's like, oh, he started it. And you know, he gets mad at you because your friend wants to walk you to the bathroom. And I mean, he's right about that. Russ was a little odd. Like, you know, Juan's gay. So why do you care that he's walking her to the bathroom? Like, he ain't about to do nothing to her. And, you know, Russ feels some type of way about it all. And so she's like, you know, I need you to play nice. I need you to just act like you have some sense. And Juan's like, no, I'm tired. And he keeps calling her a fucking zombie. She's a zombie. She's not herself. She's a slave to Russ. And I'm just like, God, here we go. This is going to end bad. And I mean, we know it's going to end bad because we keep saying it in the cuts, but it's going to end bad. And so, hey, you know, Juan goes back to the table and Juan tells Russ, this is all your fault. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. This is all your fault. And he's like, how is this my fault? And he was like, you wouldn't have just started off like you did. You know, this is all your fault. And Powell comes back and she's like, what's going on? And Russ tells her he blames all of this on me and says that this is all my fault. He sounds like a whiny ass baby. That is what he sounds like. You know how like when two kids get in trouble or like two kids get into a fight, but like one of you got to look like the good one, so you run to mom like, he called me a bastard or whatever, and it's like now that person's in trouble. That's what Russ sounds like. He's like snitching, just going off. He sounds like a whiny ass baby, and not like seeing that side of him. I don't like it. It's not cute, and it's not attractive, and it's not manly. And now Powell is like, you were not going to disrespect my husband. He's my husband. You have to accept that. And Juan's like, how long though? She's like, until I die. He's like, stop with the snarky ass comments, dude. And Paul decides that she wants to leave because this is all too much, and I can imagine it being all too much. Russ gets up, and as Powell is getting up, Juan makes a comment that if you leave right now, you will never see me again. We will never speak again. I never want to see you again. If you leave and you choose him, we'll never speak again. And then he gets up. So then you have Russ standing up, and you have Juan standing up, and you have Powell sitting there in the middle, and Russ says to her, what are you doing? And it goes off right there. I thought I was going to get to see the argument in the fight today, y'all. But I didn't. It was just the same petty, childish bull from all of them. Honestly, Powell does unfortunately have to make a choice. Her friend doesn't respect her marriage. And even though Russ started wrong, Russ apologized in Miami. He started it off right the first time, and he still got snarky bullshit. So I guess he figured, I'm going to just let him know that you can't disrespect me this time. And I mean, he did it wrong, but it's kind of one of them things like process of elimination. When I was nice and I apologized to you and we shook hands, you disrespected me. You took my kindness for weakness. And now this time I'm going to put the foot down. I'm going to let you know you're not going to disrespect me. And then it still went left because Juan doesn't care. So unfortunately, she is going to have to make a decision. And I feel really, really bad for her because she's dealing with her grandmother dying, and then she had a miscarriage, and now she's going to probably have to lose a friend or a husband because she has to choose. So much drama, you guys. And I struggled through it. I'm not even going to lie. I would like start, stop. I was just so, like, it was the same stuff. It's almost like the most interesting thing that came from this episode is that Pedro basically let us know. I don't know if I told